just talk a bit. So, anyways, Halo 5. If you actually paid any attention in Halo 4, they set up Halo 5 amazingly. The Didac and stuff, whatever. Who cares about that story? That story's over. That was Halo 4. But if you paid attention to all the stuff going on behind with Cortana, if you listen to her words and how all the game was set up, you know, Cortana's deteriorating. She's been in for all this time now, and, you know, you really wish she survived, but you kind of got this feeling that at the end of this game, she was going to disappear. Now, throughout the game, Cortana has a lot of these references to about being a machine. Shutdown is one of the obvious. She's talking about how she can tell you why the sun isn't a real sun. On the Requiem sun isn't a real sun. And then she explains all these, and she has all these emotions about it. And how she talks about how, you know, no matter how much I know about the sun, it'll never feel real to me. And so she feels like emotional. And then she looks over to Chief, and he's just readying his weapons and whatnot. And she makes a comment about, you know, she asked Chief to promise her by the end of this that they figure out which one of them is a machine. It's kind of this backwards effect that Cortana is actually the human one, when Chief, in all the Halo games, Halo 1 through 4, honestly, he doesn't, you know, he's a human, but he doesn't feel human-like. He feels more than human. He feels more like a machine. He's just a killing machine who just follows orders and puts good above everything. And he's very literal, logical. He just does what he knows. He doesn't have any emotion. He's very unemotional kind of deal. And it's not till the end of the game where you see Cortana she's going to die. She's dying, and Chief can't do anything to save her. You kind of see this moment of weakness in Chief, where he's pretty much begging Cortana to come with. He can't live without Cortana. And it's got this connection. It's almost like a love connection, but not an actual love connection. They love each other in this kind of like, in a weird way. It is a love connection, but there's a connection between Cortana. And, you know, Cortana talks about how she's going to die. They're just going to replace her. You know, there's other Cortana models out there, and they're just going to replace Cortana. And it's going to be okay. They'll set him up with another Cortana model. But the truth is that it's not her. It's not Chief's Cortana. And so he feels an emotional connection. And it's like it's the first time in really any of the games that you see a real weakness in Chief. And you see that Cortana is his weakness. And now that she's gone, at the end of the game, Lasky's on the bridge with Chief. And, you know, he talks about how he you know, Lasky has lost friends in battle, and Chief knows that. He was there. And that, but he can't relate to what Chief's going through. And then Chief, all he says is, our goal as soldiers is to defend humanity, no matter what the cost. And then, you know, Lasky makes a reference saying, you know, but you make soldiers sound like they're not human. Soldiers are human beings like anyone else. They have feelings. They have a home. And, you know, soldiers aren't machines. They're human like anyone else is. And he walks away, and Chief is left, and he goes, and Chief says, you know, she said that to me once about being a machine. And so my theory, like, and so far everything they've showed so far is everything they've done, everything they showed of Halo 5 so far is actually like supporting what I thought. Like, this was before they even had the teaser trailer of Chief with you know, where the giant robot raises, the giant Forerunner thing raises out of the ground with Chief in the desert holding the Cortana module. And what I think Halo 5 is going to be about, and it may even lead into Halo 6, depending on how they want, like how long they want to draw out the storyline, it's going to be about Chief's humanity. The next games, like, as I said, they've made him made Master Chief like a machine. And so they're making, these next few games are about Chief is almost going to go paranoid. He's going to become insane. He's going to be obsessed with getting Cortana back. And that was when that teaser trailer helped prove this, where it's going to be about Chief and how he's actually a human and him finding his humanity. And the teaser trailer of him with him in the desert and him holding Cortana's broken module is part of that, is that he's now resorting to drastic measures of ignoring his duties of a soldier, and now his mission is to try and bring Cortana back. And he is going to the Forerunners. He's going to insane places, drastic, extreme condition places, and he's become obsessed with this idea of trying to bring Cortana back, and that's his only mission. And that's what he cares about. He only cares about trying to find a way about Cortana. He's forgotten his duties of a soldier. And that's why and that's what I think the next games are going to be about, is about Chief finding his humanity and us seeing that Chief isn't a machine, that he isn't who we think he really, who he's been played up to be in the last few games. He is human underneath all that armor. We never see him. And that's one thing that adds to it, is that we've never seen his face. We don't have this human connection to him. We don't really feel like he's a real human. And that's the way he's just been done up in the other games, that he's the perfect soldier. But now we're starting to see this transition where it's going to be about how he's not just a machine. And this is why I love Halo 4 Campaign. All this is why I love Halo 4 Campaign. This is why I love it. And this is why I think it's the most in-depth, is because everything they did with the character building, with Lasky and Cortana and Chief being told about the difference between being a man and being a machine, and all this is like, that's why I love the Halo 4 campaign. It's the most amazing setup for Halo 5. Anyways, to continue off, with the new trailer with Agent Locke and Arbiter, I think they want to kind of do that double storyline, with Chief and Arbiter again, where I don't know who you're going to play as. You might play as the Arbiter and you're fighting alongside Agent Locke. Or maybe you're playing as Agent Locke. But if you could tell from that trailer, Arbiter is now, he's still fighting alongside the humans. His group and his section are still doing everything. But something came up. We don't know what it is. They haven't explained enough about it to really understand what is going on. But Arbiter is Agent Locke is looking at the stories of Master Chief. They all know the legends, but Arbiter says that now you can't just believe in the legends. You have to become who Chief is. You need to become the legend that he is. Why? Because Arbiter was talking about how they need to find Master Chief. Again, promoting this more idea of how Chief is now obsessed with finding Cortana. So basically what I think Halo 5 is going to be about is that, maybe you play as Locke or Arbiter, who knows, but Arbiter is now asking, something has happened and the world is in jeopardy, or even the universe in jeopardy. We know Halo is a very galactic scale kind of deal. I think you'll be playing as Locke as well. I don't think you'll play as Arbiter. I think you'll play as Locke, but it's got, Halo likes the galactic scale things. And something has come up. There's a new threat to the galaxies. And Arbiter knows, as much as he's always hated, and Chief and Arbiter has always had these differences, in Halo 3 they had that bonding connection, and now they're brothers. They're brothers in arms. And Arbiter wants to find his brother, and he knows that Chief is the best warrior in the entire galaxy. And they need to find him. Chief is the only one who can stop this threat. As much as Arbiter and Locke wish they could do this, they know that Chief is really the only one who is going to be able to do this. So what I think Halo 5 is going to be about is you're going to be playing as Master Chief, and I don't know exactly the setting or anything, but my idea is that you're going to be playing as Chief, and he's going to be exploring areas, basically. You're going to be fighting your way through areas, maybe through Forerunners, things like that, who knows. And your mission is you're on a blood, you have bloodlust in your eyes, and you are killing everything in your path, basically, in hopes that you can find someone who can bring Cortana back. And and then the other story, so that's the storyline of Chief, is you're going to be not doing what you're supposed to be. You're going to be disobeying orders, things like that, in order to try and bring Cortana back. And but you've fallen off the radar, and that's why like Arbiter is like, you need to in order to find him, you must become him, kind of deal. Is because now Chief is off the radar. He's not telling anyone where he's going. No one knows where he's at. So you're gonna be off and there. And then the Agent Locke and Arbiter story, which I feel you'll be fighting alongside the two, is how it's going to be working is that you're going to be like steps behind Chief. You're going to be trying to track down Chief. You're going to be going throughout, kind of almost following in his footsteps. You need to follow in his footsteps, and they even said that in that trailer again. You need to follow his footsteps. You're going to be trailing behind Chief, trying to catch up to him, which he's on this bloodlust, so he's a little bit slower, but you're going to get to a point where you're at, basically you figure out what Chief's plan is, and you have more information as Chief. You know an area where like Cortana could be brought back, or you know where Chief is going to go, or where he's going to end up going. So you're going to be Agent Locke and Arbiter are going to be taking a different path to basically take a shortcut to try and catch up to Chief, and they're going to basically try and bring Chief back to humanity. He's still this machine-like character, but now his mission is no longer about saving the world. It's now about bringing Cortana back, and Arbiter and Locke are going to be his realization back to humanity. And how I think it's going to end up happening is, I can't find a game in matchmaking, but I'm going to continue to try and find a game because I'm talking about this. I think it's how I think Halo 5 is going to end. Now this is really early, so don't quote me on this. This is like one of the most like things I'm not so sure about. But so far, everything I've said, my storyline, honestly, it lines up with what they've told us about Halo 5. So what I think is Chief is going to get close. He's going to almost get to the point. He's going to almost find someone that is able to bring Cortana back. He's going to get close. But Arbiter and Locke are going to catch up with him. And they've now run out of time. If they don't stop the threat to the galaxy now, or Earth, or whatever it is, we don't have enough information to know. If Chief doesn't stop what he's doing and, you know, fight what's going on elsewhere, if he doesn't fight the evil that's happening right now, it's going to be the end of Earth and all that. You know, they love the whole galactic scale destruction thing. So if he and that's when Chief is going to reach crossroads. He can either continue on and retrieve Cortana, or he can abandon this search and come back with the Arbiter and Locke to Dr. Halsey. I feel will be a different part. Like, that's what I mean, is that's why I think Halsey might transition, but I feel Halsey is honestly going to be more part of the Spartan Ops area. But no, I mean, I do agree, like, Dr. Halsey might cut in, hey, we're finding a game. Might cut into this where Chief is now chasing down the elites and that Halsey is working with, and that's why, like, there's this whole other storyline, but I'm trying to kind of do a general issue. I don't want the exact, like, if I tell you, like, oh, hey, they're gonna end up finding Halsey, and Halsey's going to be the way to bring back. What's going to happen is maybe Halsey is the evil. You know, now she's against the humans. She's helping because the humans tried to get her killed. And who knows, like, this is where we get into the more skeptical category of, like, who knows, maybe she's the reason something is going to be happening. And so Chief has to make a choice. Maybe he has to kill Halsey and lose the chance at saving Cortana. But that's what I mean. He's going to reach a crossroads where he can either save Cortana and bring Cortana back, or he can save the galaxy. And we all know he's going to save the galaxy. And this is why I think it would also be a good setup to Halo 6, is that at the end of Halo 5, Chief is unable to bring back Cortana. And then that leads into Halo 6, where now that danger is gone, something comes up in Halo 5 where he now has a opportunity. And then Halo 6, if they come out, will really fully be about getting Cortana back, and at the end, he will end up bringing Cortana back. And that's my idea of how the next storylines of Halo will be. So, I don't know, Chief won't get turned into a Promethean. Alright, Warlord.